Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Year I Made It podcast. My name is Madison, and I am your host. Today, we are going to be talking about something that I have kind of recently discovered that I think is super cool, super unique to really just kind of whoever you are, and something that I think really can help in sort of all stages and ages of life. So, something that I've recently discovered is called human design. And that is something that we're going to talk about on today's podcast. Just a little bit about what human design is, how I've stumbled upon it, a little bit about my human design type, and really a little bit of everything that comes along with that. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you guys a funny kind of like fail story, because lately I have been in a stage of life that just seems like, oh my God, there is always some shenanigans, some challenge, something just interesting happening. And by interesting, I mean irritating. I have been kind of coining the term lately, like, it's okay, everything is just a small inconvenience. And that is what I've been trying to adopt into this new stage of maybe a challenge of life that I'm in. However, on Thursday night, my realtor reached out and was like, hey, did you know you have a couple overdue water and gas bills, and if you don't pay them, they're about to get cut off? And so one thing about me is I've always lived in BFE. So if you don't live in the city, in my experience, you pay a utility bill and that covers everything. And so since I've moved to the city, it would turn out now I actually pay 3 different bills, which is really funny in hindsight, because whenever I was telling my mom this story yesterday, I was like, what's so funny about this story is I literally was like, damn, my utilities since I moved to this townhouse are so cheap. And it turns out it's because I've only been paying like a third of the bill basically. So what I found out is my realtor was like, hey, you have a couple bills you haven't paid. I was like, oh my gosh. So it turns out if you live in the city and you have a certain type of hot water heater, I believe it is, so you pay your utility bill, but you also pay water and sewer. Fortunately, that one didn't get cut off, but I was behind on that one, so I had to pay that. And then you also have a gas bill, and it would turn out in my house, if you don't pay your gas bill, it will cut off your hot water and also your heat. So my realtor texted me this Thursday night. I had such a busy day Friday. I was traveling for work. I totally forgot about it until Friday at like 7 p.m. And I was like, shoot. And so Saturday morning I came home and I go to get in the shower and I wait for my water to get hot for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, doo-doo-doo. And then I'm like, shit, I forgot to pay that bill. So I call my boyfriend and I'm like, hey, if it's 63 in here and I don't have hot water, do you think that would be because I didn't know I have a gas bill I'm supposed to pay? And he's like, yep, that'll do it. And I'm like, okay, well, oopsies. So he's like, what do you mean you haven't paid your gas bill? I'm like, I've never lived in the city. I've never had a gas bill. I've never had a water bill. Evidently I have a water and sewer bill. Evidently I have a gas bill. And I have a utility bill. And like in Madison World, I guess, like fortunately for me, I've always just paid a utility bill. So I paid my utility bill since I've been here, and I've just been like, damn, like this utility bill is super cheap. And it would turn out it's because it doesn't include what I thought it included. So it is currently about as warm in my house as it is outside. So it's actually a beautiful day. It's probably about 60 degrees outside, and it's about 60 degrees in my house today. So a little chilly, but that is a funny little fail story for you guys. I told my mom, I'm like, I'm just adopting this new thing where I'm just like, everything is just like a funny minor inconvenience, because it seems to be like a stage of life where everything is just testing me. So that is how I'm choosing to look at it. So I wanted to share a little perspective, and I wanted to share that little fail story with you guys before we get into human design. All right, so back to what we are here to talk about, which is human design. So I recently stumbled upon human design. I believe I stumbled upon it listening to AG University. If you guys don't listen to AG University, you absolutely should. It is super cool about really just kind of everything spiritual, everything kind of inner workings of your mind, your body. I absolutely love it. So with that being said, I have looked into human design quite a bit since I heard AG mention it on AG University. And so what I have written down about kind of like what is human design, there's a lot of definitions that are like just all the different things human design is. But I think at its core, human design is really just how you function at your highest self. And I think it's very important to notice that there's a lot of different human design types, which means there's a lot of different ways that all of us function at our highest selves. It's not the same for everybody. It's not if you see so-and-so doing this and that works for them, then that's what you should do. It's literally like your own human design. And what I think about this, what I think is cool about this is human design. You can literally find yours. It's based on your name. Well, obviously, like you just put in your name because, like, you know, so they knew, like, this is yours, like Madison or whatever. But it's your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. And so based on all those things, it talks about what your human design is. And so you can find yours. I started looking through my human design with Jenna Zoe, and I'll share the link in the show notes for you guys if you guys are interested in looking at yours. But I stumbled upon mine through the Jenna Zoe website where you literally just put in that basic information. And I found out that I am the human design type of a manifesting generator. And so whenever I read the title, I was like, sounds like it could be me. And then when I like started reading about it, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely me. But it is super cool because for me, I have been able to use it to reflect a little bit about some different things that maybe I haven't done or some things that I know that I need to do to be in alignment with my highest self. But I've been kind of like brushing off. And so this was a really cool way for me to be able to think back to some of these, kind of reset and realize that there's some things that are just like kind of always like innate to who I am that I really need to be doing to take care of myself. So manifesting generators, I'm not gonna lie, if you are a different type and you're hoping to hear about that, I have no knowledge about any of those. Check out AG University. She has some good information on other types, but the only one I personally know a little bit about is manifesting generator. And so the manifesting generator is somebody who is multi-passionate. They act based on how things make us feel, definitely a blessing and a curse. This type generally seems to thrive in places and people of teamwork, of being able to work with lots of people, being able to work in lots of different places. And this human design type is really categorized that you can tell whenever you are aligned by when you're at peace. And so I thought that was something that was really very interesting for me to notice or for me to think about, because it really is true that I can always tell I'm doing the best when I'm literally just at peace. And what's funny is this actually, human design has what they call channels. And so basically your channels are like where you're like your highest self, and then how you can tell you're absolutely not aligned. And so for the manifesting generator, you're aligned is peace, and then you're not aligned is anger. And I think that was like a really interesting perception for me, that I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Like I can tell I'm operating at my highest self when I'm at peace, and I can tell I am just off the walls if I'm angry. And so now I've kind of learned to take a step back and realize, like, okay, if I'm angry, how do I stop and how do I get to this peace part? Because this peace part is my highest self, and that's what I need to do to operate functionally and to operate well and to operate as my best self. So some of the other things that I think are very factual about me as a manifesting generator, this design type, they change their mind as they go. So sometimes I will embark on one journey and then I'll realize like that's kind of a part of a journey that I thought I wanted, but it's not really all of it. So then I'll kind of change what I was doing or what I was working on, or whatever that looks like, really just to kind of be aligned. And this design type is also categorized as impulsive. I have to agree, it's me, I'm impulsive. I love to just be like, oh my God, do you want to book this last minute plane ticket and go to this place and do this thing? Like, love it, that's so me. I love it, but that is obviously, I think, pretty specific. Most people, I don't think, a lot of people that's their nightmare, but for me, great time. So I wanted to share you guys one of the things that I realized about my human design type. that I've always been putting off. So one thing I've always noticed about myself is that I have to sleep a lot. Like, I thrive honestly between 8 and 9 hours of sleep a night. And I notice whenever I don't get this sleep, I do not function well. I am irritable. I have to have way too much caffeine. Like, it's not a good time. And so that's one thing that's really specific to this human design type as well. It talks about how we have to regenerate and recharge with sleep. And that is literally how I feel. Like, if I don't get a good night's sleep, like, I'm not myself. And then I almost have to wait until I do get a good night's sleep to feel like, oh, I'm fully recharged and ready to go. So that is just a small example, but that's something I have always noticed throughout my life. That is definitely something where when I'm in alignment, I'm getting enough sleep, and when I'm not, I am running on not enough sleep and way too much caffeine. So another thing that is so common of the manifesting generator, but is so hard for me, is that manifesting generators are supposed to trust that life has a plan and go with the flow, which I would love to do, but I can't, because like, where is the flow? What time is it coming? Like, where is it taking me? Like, I need to know all the details. Is there an itinerary? Like, I can't go with the flow. I want to, I really do, but it is so freaking hard for me. So that is one thing that also just kind of reminded me to reset and to realign, that trust that life has a plan and to go with the flow. And in addition to that, I think another really important piece that I wrote down as far as tips and tricks for manifesting generators is manifesting generators are not to worry about the future. They're to stay in the now, because if you're worried about the future, you're not in the now. And if you're in the now, you're going with the flow and you're just bebopping through life and you're enjoying it and things are happening for you. And that is where I'm trying to get to. So I'm not at all there, but that is where I'm trying to get with a little help from, therapy, the Lord, a positive mindset, meditation, all that good stuff. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys today, is just this new thing that I've stumbled upon called human design, a little bit about what it is and how it resonated for me. So what I am going to do is I'm going to link in the show notes for you guys just some different human design generators, links, things like that. So if you guys want to look more into it, if this one did not resonate with you, but you think maybe there's another one that would resonate with you, hop on, do your thing, and I will link those below. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Year I Made It podcast. Hope you guys have a fabulous day, and happy healing, babes.